What's going on, everybody? This is Mortym, and as I'm starting to move through the Maelstrom arena with my Venom Claw, I wanted to kind of show you guys the progress and show you how the build's doing and all that. So with all the changes the Dark Brotherhood made to the Dragon Knight, changing a lot of your what were fire abilities to poison and things like that, I wanted to kind of make like a dot stacking melee build, which so far it's working pretty well, which you'll see. I just wanted to, real quick before we jump into the fight, show you some of the changes that I made from the original build. I did go ahead and change all of the traits to the appropriate one, Divines. You could use Infused, I think that would also work, but I wanted to use Divines for the extra weapon damage off of the Warrior Stone, which is the one I'm using. And the other change is I took Snipe off of here and replaced it with Noxious Breath from my first bar, and I used that open slot to drop in Bloodthirst just to kind of have something to spam. Also, I did manage to finally get the morph version of Hidden Blade. I'm using Shrouded Daggers, which it's going to hit a couple of targets instead of just one. And it, of course, still gives us Major Brutality, which is the main reason we are using it. Now, with those changes in mind, let's jump into the fight, and I'll show you how that went. Alright, so here we are, the Vale of the Surreal, Stage 1 of the Maelstrom Arena. So, again, I'm not recording this in time. I just can't focus on the mechanics and talk at the same time. I'm just terrible at it. So it's pretty easy for the most part. You just use the bow skills to cast Endless Hail, and then, as they're spawning preferably, that way it's hitting them the second they come out of the portal. And then just dot them up as they come near you. The only thing is when you start getting into the abilities, well, the ranged people like that guy, you want to start using Reflective Scales fairly often. This first round doesn't really have a lot of that, so it's not something we worry about, though. So we're just going to dot them up and put them down. Kind of restoring some of my stamina right here. I was about out. I went a little heavy on that. So start with Endless Hail. Go ahead and use Noxious Breath, because that, I'm not sure if the damage starts, but the Fracture will be applied if you hit the portal with Noxious Breath. So the dot will at least be applied. I'm not sure if the initial damage is done, however. So with the Daedroth, it's pretty simple. Just, you know, again, dot him up and kind of roll around to avoid his heavier hits. The Scamps are very easy. You just hit them with anything and they basically die. You don't have to do much for those guys. And that's round 1. So for round 2, again, start out with Endless Hail in the portal, Noxious Breath. For round 2, of course, the little swirling axes will start. They don't do a lot of damage, but don't stand in there or it blows up in your face. So we're using Reflective Scales, of course, because round 2 has a lot of ranged, and we're going to try to... I pulled this guy out of the pool, because that will slow you, which makes the axe hitting you very likely, so we'll just use Reflective Scale to keep hitting him, and he basically almost killed himself while we pulled him back to the edge of the pool. So, Endless Hail, Noxious Breath, Reflective Scales, again, a lot of ranged here, don't want to get hit with it. And then we just start stacking our dots. The hardest thing, for me at least, is remembering to occasionally apply Hidden Blade, because it's not the heaviest damage dealer we have, but you need to use it so you get that 20% extra weapon damage. The Bone Colossus, which is the mini-boss for this round, is super easy. You just dot him up and he dies very fast, as you can see. I don't even pay attention to him and he dies from dots over there. And then just kill the Dark Bow here, which again is very easy because they don't have a lot of health, so with Reflective Scales they're kind of a joke. They kill themselves on your shield more than anything else. So for round 3, again, very easy. Just start out with Endless Hail, Noxious Breath, and then we're going to Hidden Blade right off the bat there so we get that weapon damage. And then we're going to start Reflective Scaling to hit some of these ranged attackers back, using Vigor and Igneous Shields, of course, to recover health as needed. But again, the nice thing about these dots is you don't have to pay attention to all of them at once as long as you hit them a couple times. Their health is not that amazing, so they pretty much just die. That is going to become a problem with the next round when I try to do that one, however, because Dwarven Constructs are resistant to poison damage. So, for this one, again, just apply the dots. We use Endless Hail, Noxious Breath right there, which somehow managed to hit both of them despite the fact that we weren't facing them. And then just apply our other dots, kind of dodge roll around, and they die. The Seducer Knights can be a little heavy. This is actually when I realized I wasn't even using my food buff, which was kind of a mistake on my part. So we're going to use Hidden Blade here in just a second, and then, well, after we manage to not get murdered by all of this ridiculous red. So again, the Flesh Atronach, much like the Daedroth and the Bone Colossus, very simple. Just dot him up and then dodge roll his heavier attacks, and the dots kill him. And they do damage fairly quickly, so because there's just so many of the dots going all at once, that it's pretty easy. So, for the final round, after we apply our food here, I actually died once, and it was my fault. It's not really a build thing. I wasn't paying attention to where I was walking, and I stepped right into his root, and I was out of stamina, so I died. So that one was on me, frankly. But this first one will show you, you want to try to go big damage as soon as he spawns. So we dropped the Standard of Might, Hidden Blade to get our weapon damage up. His little spawns are very easy to kill because they don't have a lot of health. So one or two of our dots will basically murder them by the time he tries to pull them back in. And combine that with Reflective Scale for the Elementalist he spawns, and they're basically just dead. This is about the part where I got that first death, though, which again, my bad. You can see it, it's right here. I wind up stepping right into that root, not paying attention. And then I was out of stamina, so I died. So that one was on me. And I'm keeping it in here just to show you that the main thing you need to watch out for is just where your feet are, because if you get rooted, you're dead. But as you can see, the damage was pretty solid. That wasn't really the issue at all. We're not really going to try to use Dawnbreaker of Smiting here. We're going to try to save up for that Standard of Might. We go ahead and use the power-up for the shield there to give us some of the reflectiveness without having to use Reflective Scales. So we start with Hidden Blade. We'll dot up his ad with a couple dots, and then we'll focus back on him, applying all of our dots to him and just hitting him in general. Endless Hail, because he's going to summon more ads. And then here in just a second, when he makes his second jump here, we'll probably use Standard. So as you can see, with all those dots, those ads pretty much just kill themselves. You don't really have to worry about them much. So we're going to drop Standard right here, apply all of our dots again. And all of these dots are going to kill these ads, so you don't even really need to focus on them. Just try to make sure you're not getting hit by the red circle or their ranged attacks, because that Elementalist does a lot of damage. So you want to try to make sure your Reflective Scale stays up, not only for his hit, but hers as well. And our dots have pretty much done the work at this point. And we use Dawnbreaker of Smiting to push the last bit of damage there, and as he tries to call them in, we just work his health down rather than bother with them, and he goes down. So there it is, guys. Stage 1 of the Maelstrom Arena as the Venom Claw. I'm not sure how successful this is going to be overall, mostly because of my own skill. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe, but have a great day.